stuff that is pertaining to ensuring our platforms are up. We're 3 out of 5. Waiting, thank you for your patience. 4, 5, we're on. Oh, the motherfucker. Alrighty. Alright. Hey everybody, I'm Rob the Builder. Can we build it? Yes, we can, and we're gonna. Ah! Now, today, first things first, actually what would be our first objective is the question. Probably gluing the remaining wingtip on the Spitfire, and we can let that dry, and then we'll start putting stuff. That'll be our plan. Putting and sanding stuff. Be that as it may, we also then can get onto, Halifax now. Whilst I'm sure you're delighted to see my phone, I'm sure you'd probably prefer to see what the fuck we're working on. But first, heavenly caffeine. My blood flows with thee. Now then, guys, let me just flick the light on, because you're going to get a lot less blinded if I do it from there. And then when you're right in front of it, you'll get a bit of a viewing angle. Bring the light up. And the Rob said, "Let there be light," and lo, there was. Oh, I tell you, kids. Now, these are Halifax parts, pretty well. It's obvious to you, it's obvious to me. And what we're going to do, because I've had a closer look at the canopies and their pictures. That's my review. Pictures. As far as from the viewpoint of the width of the guns is not cooperative. There's a whole stack of inconvenience attached. What I'm going to do is actually glue the guns into position after the fact. I know what I mean by after the fact. You will too. So I'll do it once I've got everything in. It'll be one of the last things I do, and I'll glue them actually onto the canopy. It'll work. It'll come up a treat. But foist, kids. Grasshoppers. Well, you could be grasshoppers for all I know. I've copied that one as a nickname many times. But if you're going to do years of Chinese martial arts, that's what goes with the turf. Oh, just take 2. Further in. Just a little more. Nice. As good as it's going. Further, perhaps. Well, I'm not happy with the AC models for doing it this way. It's not. All right, there we go. That will. Once we've. I'm quite seeing if I have that. All right. The only question I have, I often use these sorts of things in such environments for stable places. You can sort of push something while it dries, and we'll do that with this. So yeah, that'll work. Foist the glue. Now what I'm gonna do, well, I think to very quickly is gonna I've got the aircon on because it was a bit chilly this morning, and right now it's getting a little toasty. It's a little in between, you know what I'm saying, peeps? It's a fine line, but the sun's up now. The sun's up now. Yeah. That should start warming the place up. I believe those of you in the Northern Hemisphere are having a hell of a time at the moment. Certainly in UK, huh? Hearing me. Welcome to Australian weather. In the UK, there's something going wrong. You know? I'm Ken Brockman. That's my 2 cents worth. Yeah. There we go. Okay, that'll come together. Bit of putty work required, but beyond that, all will be well. Just leave that way to dry. Now, next, while we're here, actually on the spit, actually no, first, what I want to do, because we need to there's certain things we need done before we can actually assemble turrets. Now, first things first. That is, we need the interior seals of here done, which is to say some gunmetal grey on the interior. This is white stuff on, you probably might want a bit of a, there we go, you can see what I'm talking about now. Now that white, that is not the colour we're rolling with, is not the colour we're rolling with. That's just undercoat. And what we're actually going to do, final analysis, peeps, is once we've done the interiors, we are going, how should I assemble and then put liquid mask? Either way, we're liquid masking the exteriors and covering the holes with tape. And then we're going to airbrush. Remove liquid mask. I'm sure you get the drill. It's so. Is that a wing or a paper clip? Which are you talking about? This one? It's annoying is what it is, mate. That's how you doing, by the way? Easy. I'll give you the nuts and bolts of this, man. And I'll zoom out a bit. Okay, I'm sure you're familiar with the pointy wing, for want of a better choice of words, of the Spitfire, and in later models, of course, they had the clipped wing. Now, AZ, I am guessing, are using a lot of the same pressing things they've done with say a Mark 14, where I think even the Mark 11 have the clipped wings, so that they can, well, maximise their profits, which is fair business, I guess. And what they've done is they've given you these little wingtips that you stick on. Yeah, now here's the issue. First you've got to saw a bit off, so there's a bit of a variable factor there, which is a pain in the ass. You don't want variables on your wings. And yeah, ultimately that's the dealio with that one. So yes, there's the deal with that. Now, which one was the one? This one. They're both already quite solid. That's good. At least tribute to the glue. Anyway, we'll let that dry a bit more. It's not time to play with that yet. Now, yeah, so we're getting back to our canopy for the gunner. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to use liquid mask on the outside. We're going to do the seals on the inside first, though. Without the seals, it's really not going to cut the mustard. So we'll do that. Then once that dries, and that shouldn't take too long as it'll be in acrylic, we will start getting various bits and bobs in operation. Well, that's one of the more random messages I've had in my time. Hi, Airball. How you doing? Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking for. I have an acrylic out somewhere. Gunmetal grey. I use this one quite extensively for seal colours. And by seals, of course, I am not talking about our seals. Well, I assume you get that. What can I tell you? A little bit of paper towel would be advantageous at this juncture. Juncture. It remains one of my favourite words ever since, I don't know if either of you, Rex, or you, Airball, are familiar with a gentleman named Richie Benaud, who used to, well, aside from playing cricket for Australia and being one of the best Australia produced, he's also well known for his cricket commentary. The big line was, at this juncture. Also, one day fixture. The juncture was his word of choice on for a certain point of time, and it's placed in not just mine, probably many Australians' hearts ever since. Now, let's have a look at our brush options. Yes, I like that one. Yes, I do. back. And we'll need to come across. Maybe again. Once these interiors are done, like I said, I'm using an acrylic, so it's not going to take too long to dry. I'll get onto assembling. Position. Basically, you go together. Canopy on. This being one of the older, more clunky pressings of Airfix, it's not a good example of what they produce these days, I must say. I've said it before. Say it again. Their more recent stuff is really nice. This is an old clunker, I'm afraid. I'm building it just so that I can. And what's more, as you can see, I'm slowly getting along there now. I'll probably do that inside line there, hey. Just okay. Right. Go to yeah, getting there. It's in there. Okay. So yeah. Okay, and then we go around the circle. There's one of them done. Once we get the circle anyway. The idea is it gives a much better backing to the colour on the outside, rather than having to go through to something clear. Backs it picks up much more nicely. Also, it is one of those things that if people should well. Plastic side. I've always thought that's kind of cool. One's been barely pretty. Be correspondingly cruisy is there's a piece over there that's going to be an absolute doddle. A piece over there that's going to be a bitch. Do the doddle first, then the bitch, then I'll do the other one. All right, we're good. That one. Swizzlies. So you can see that the seals are done on the interior of that one. We'll put the liquid mask on the outside in due course. Next, this one will be going from the inside. So, see what I'm doing. What we want to do. Oh, no, it shouldn't be too bad there. There we go. Okay. A bit more on that. We'll come back. We're starting to get the protective plate for the gunner in position. The tail gunners had a degree of, or quite commonly anyway, had a degree of protective plate. Oops, need a toothpick. Blind. Pretty fair idea. If the amount of attention they would have received from the enemy. Also do the next diagonal. We expect with this one. Do this. That. Moment. The reason I'm keeping a bit of an eye on the time is sometime between 11 and 3, I'm getting a smoke alarm detector. Well, smoke is checking whether it's functioning. Yes, they probably better check now. I'm sort of like dying in a ball of flames. I'm certainly happy for it to happen now. Precision. 11 till 3. That's my single biggest bitch in it. Really? Yeah, I am fairly well. Good. Alright, so you can see it's coming along there. Now, after this comes the bitch of a piece. The reason it's a bitch is because it's a very small, cramped amount of area I'm going to be working with. And yeah, everything about it is just pain in the ass. But once that one's done, we're on to the other last of those ones. And they have completed drying. We can then assemble that kind of position. They dry. Put the liquid mask on them afterward. Then we will assemble the fuselage. Need the gun. Alright, then might just go around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. Probably stop right there, hey guys. Um, alright. Alright. Now just a little bit around that side. Boom. Let that dry for a bit. Now, next, I'm going to zoom out for a moment. Here is a difficult one. The reason it's difficult is that it's very, very cramped. Last time I tried to do this one, I got a bit of cramp. What's the... Wonder. Wow, wonder. Okay. Let's see if we can actually push the piece. Yes. Problem is, with the idea of that I would need to bend over so far that Big Robster says no. Oh no, no. Once we're around there, the tricky stuff begins. Might even go for a separate new brush. This one's already a bit glugged. When I go in there, I want to go as thin as possible to minimize the chance of error. So, to that end, what I'm going to do. Stop there. Let's see. So I want a nice sharp brush. I don't want to go 10-0, that's going over the top of the approach. No? Oh, don't want to go 20-0 rather, that's over the Oops, daisy. That will do us. Now, all right. Not much. You can see what I mean by it being fiddly. Ah, Mr. Minpins, how you doing? I've, yeah, I'm having a bit of a fiddly time with this canopy here on the tail gunner. You been all right? Yeah, it is very fiddly. These are the ones that are the worst. Purely because they're just, yeah, I tell you. Yes. Right. Yeah. Be okay with that. Ah, sorry to. You're getting a good view of my hands, I can tell. Let me just. Only got two more. Let me get to something a little more visual. Or is it three? I need to do three. Once I've got. Yeah, not bad. Just discovered something a little inconvenient. I don't think it's that. I know what I should do. Being a bit dumb. I don't. That possibly don't. There we go. Yeah. I've got the fire guys coming around to check my smoke alarm. And that's they give like a 4-hour racket. Yay. But I'm supposed to do my mum's shopping today. And the bigger reality of life, the universe, and everything. I know my mum's got enough. to get through till tomorrow or even Sunday. Bigger problem's going to be that she'll get all anxious and grumpy. Why? Because she's mama. But she does. On the other hand, I might be surprised. Sometimes she surprises me. Sometimes. Right, well, that's actually not been quite as harsh on me as I thought. But also at some stage today to acquire bait for tomorrow morning. The 4-hour bracket they're giving is not really winning me over as I'm a friend. Do you know what I'm saying? It's pissing me a little. Yeah. Alright. Almost done. Got. Yeah. Deal's done, not these. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? I mean, fuck. How hard can it be to give an approximate, give or take an hour, you'd be okay with? Now, even a 2-hour bracket. 4 hours? Really? It's a bit like you go to the doctors and you're waiting. Of course, if they kept you waiting that long, if you arrived that late for them, you'd have to make another appointment. Seems legit. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. I might be home. You might want to fuck off. You know, fucking. Yeah, look, it annoys me. I know everyone has to put up with it, but that doesn't make it helpful or positive. You know what I'm saying? I just realised even if I get that wrong on that side there, it doesn't matter because I've got liquid mask in place on the top of the cap. That's quite. Alright. I remember once I've been given a time bracket, and it was the usual 4-hour bullshit. And they were late. If you can get over that. In fact, not just a little bit late; they were 2 hours late. How hard can this be, guys? I've actually rang up the company in question and said, "Look, the hourly rate for my services is $70 an hour. How would you guys like to be charged $140?" They didn't see that they should be paying, but yeah, they got the point. Really now. Well, yeah, that's not an unfair position to hold either, mate. Um, I mean, I was going to be until 12:30 anyway. That might not even be an issue as far as I was planning the stream till that long. So in that regard, less of an issue. I'd still like some, but if they're not here by then, no, we'll see. might be an absolute non-drama and non-ish. Might be tis for nothing. Now, at the time I've done this, I reckon the wings on the Spitfire should have dried. Looking a bit putty happening. We are sanding and whatever else we need to do. Alright. Alright. Two more line, or one line and a circle. We are ready to go. Good. Round we go. Round the outside, round the outside. Alright. And a bit around the front. There we go. Almost. There we go. Boom. There. That's our interiors. Hang on. It's the interiors of the canopies. Ready to rock. So once they're dried, we can get them in position. Bing, zip. Now, clean brush. Yeah. Giving very serious consideration to what my next build will be already, as far as the single-engined aircraft variety. I reckon it's going to be one of two. If I can get myself a Hawker Tempest, it's a Tempest, because then I've got Hurricane, Typhoon, Tempest. If I've got the cash availability on Tuesday to get a Holden fold, it will be a Hurricane Mark II. These are the things. Now, our wings on the Spitfire. Well, they're already starting to get a bit of hankering. German aircraft of some variety. But first things Now, I want to do a bit there. I think that is. I should probably wait till I've got everything assembled before putting, but the bigger ones are actually here, in between the, that I'll show you quite clearly. You can see there's a yawning bloody great gap on some of that. On that one, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but back on camera. Right. You can see that's not looking quite pretty, is it now? A wee bit of putty will go a long way on that, as will on here. In fact, that's probably that's a worse one. While we're at it, let's give that a bit of love. The underside's pretty good. And most of that side there is not too shabby. But there's a little bit prettier. And we will too. Alright. Ooh. Hang on, I'm just going to zoom the camera out. This could be it looks, hang on. Yep. Well, that's fair enough. Ah. Yeah, well, it's a curious thing with pit bulls. I mean, in my experience, they're a very nice dog. I like pit bulls. But if they take exception, you're in for a bad day at the office. That much is certain. Now, something I need to do, and this is actually good timing in a sense. It's 10:30 now. I need to go outside to get some lacquer thinner to help thin out the putty we're going to use. So what I'm going to do while I'm at it, this is a good opportunity for me to get a stroll. You'll see, I'll take my microphone off. I'm going to duck outside, grab the thinner, which you will suddenly see go splatch in front of me. Then I'm going to disappear off and do something you don't need audio for. And then we will get down to the nitty-gritties and the business on the wings. Yeah, well, they are. I believe the original purpose of a pit bull, to my understanding, was not a vicious attack dog at all. They're a dog that you could actually leave kids with quite safely because they would protect them. And let's face it, who's going to argue with a fucking pit bull? They're not by nature aggressive dog. Well, only in certain circumstances, and if you do the wrong thing by most animals, you will find there are certain circumstances, Put that to use with the so yeah, pit bulls get a bit of a nasty rep, but I don't think it's entirely deserved. Anyway, I'll be back shortly, mate. Well, tell you what, I'll leave it on while I go out to the shed and get the thinner. That's fine. I'm sure you've got no issues at all with hearing my opening of doors. It's looking a bit overcast. I was able to take my mum for a drive yesterday. It's probably a good day to have done so. It was quite sunny. Yeah, and also went to the zoo yesterday. Zoo member, so I can go whenever I want. Got some good pics. I'm actually going to start a Facebook page because I have this plan. You see, what my plan is that I will go take every time I go to. Well, I'm going to use as to go for walks. It's good for that. You don't have to be being a member. I don't have to be there for longer than an hour or two. And the idea will be that as I go for my walks, I'll take, ideally, ultimately, a picture of every animal in the zoo. And indeed, there's 2 zoos we have here. 3 if I count Cleveland, and I might get the Cleveland membership. And basically, I'm going to start a Facebook page, Rob's Animal Pics. That's my plan. Yeah, I have a cunning. That's my plan anyway with my animal pics. I've got to start. I got some really good ones yesterday. I'll tell you more about them shortly. Back in a moment. I'm back. Yeah, when I was got some good photographs yesterday. As I was saying about when I was at the zoo, and got a really good one of. Hang on a moment. That'll be good. Thought I dropped a box on a rather delicate piece. Anyway, the got one of a lioness who was pretty close to the fence line. She was need. Why am I lacking the glass part? That. Where is the sense in that, Robster? Really now, big boy? Really? Now, I do know where I can get a glass part from. Give me a moment. Anyway, so which means I'm going to be not doing much again, but I will continue to talk. I can keep the mic on. It's basically it's out to the shed again. Dear oh dear, eh? Anyway, so I was at the there's this lioness sunning herself quite happily by the cage. And looks, I was able to get within about I'd say 3, maybe 4 meters. So I don't know. You guys do yards, don't you? I reckon I'd have been within 12 feet, basically. So yeah, at one stage, he seemed to take a degree of exception to being photographed. So I actually turned to the bars and like came at them. Row! I'll tell you, free of charge, bars or not, it's a bloody scary sight to be on the receiving end of. And yeah, but I've got some good pics of her. Got a couple of corkers of. Do you know what a cassowary is? A cassowary, in case you are unaware, is probably the bird most closely related to the dinosaurs. You find them in North Queensland, Papua New Guinea. They've got a big, chunky horn on their heads and big claws, and they will ruin your fucking day if they get hold of you. I tell you. Ooh. Got some good pics of one of them and a heron. Got some really good pics of a gator, actually. I've had 2 gators. Last time I was there, I got a pic of one, a couple of pics of them that showed really how good their camouflage is as far as in water. They're still hellishly hard to see. But yeah, they're actually out on the like a concrete slab in their enclosure, and they are really sunning themselves, making themselves very visible, thereby easy to see. Photograph. And I did. Mine's still good. My restream's still going? Yes, it is good. Couldn't see myself for a moment there. Ha! Reminds me of, I just looked at the. Give me a moment. Oh, that fits actually quite well. Here's the other side of the equation. Maybe I'm better served. I am going to be better served to glue that in position first and then do all the putting, which is okay. I can do that. Bought this kit on the strength of their lines, which are really nice, and this has not lived up to similar expectations, sorry to say. I need to crank it in. There's a couple of ways I can go about doing that in the final analysis, but it will fit. Okay. All right, we're going to glue that in rather than do the puttying. I'll still probably be able to do the puttying this session. At least I've got the stuff for it now. The quadratic equations have 2 sides. If you recall your high school maths, I didn't like maths in high school. Didn't understand it. I realise why now. For the same reason I wasn't good at physics. I was looking for complex answers that simply weren't there. Maths and physics, It's pretty much all spelled out for you, and if you're overthinking it, you're not going to do it. Story ends there. Excuse me a moment. I mean, when you think about it, numbers don't change. Physics is just the. As an adult, I've come to understand all of it quite easily. Curious. I've done a bit of with martial arts. I've taken a very strong interest in that circles and triangles. Yeah. Anyway. But yes, the I wasn't good at it at school. As an adult, all I can see is that well, that's a fair thing was the way it was taught. Also, they didn't make it enjoyable. There is actually a lot to enjoy about maths, you know. Yeah, no, I reckon it's the right dimensions. We're a very small aircraft, really, in the final analysis. Might be where. Let's see if I can do the old close specs routine on it. This rest will be too big. Be a little there. If you give me a moment, I'll put it in. These are, I didn't like that just a bit. Good. Meanwhile, let's focus. Yeah, hang on a moment. Well, based, and note this is what we will use as our point of reference. As a quick little aside, this is actually the first kit I built. So, no, that's an Airfix 1:72 spit. So, no, the size looks right. So, yeah, that's okay. Alrighty. Let that dry. Yeah, it's my first one. This is Spitfire Mark 1A. You can see the area with the canopy there. Mark 1A, that's John Dundas. He was I think he'd achieved 12 aerial victories and shot down Helmut Vick, who at that stage of the war was Germany's highest scoring ace. He was, is 1:72. 1 inch squares, no. They would be bigger than, I think they'd be bigger than an inch. I think they'd be, okay, here we go. I would suggest, there's a little line mark here of, they have it in centimetres, I would say. So that's 5 centimetres. 5 centimetres is just under 2 inches. So I think they're 5. I'll confirm. Yeah, 5 centimetres. There's 2.4 centimetres to an inch. So that should be 5.08 for 2 inches, but it's just under. There you have it. The Spit will have a guy named Buzz Burling. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. He is Canada's highest scoring ace of the Second World War. Now, how many did he get? 43? No, that's not right. It might be 43. Anyway, he's Canada's highest scoring ace. And he mostly flew out of Malta, which by coincidence is where my nephew is from and where he is at the moment. Or where one of my nephews is from anyway. I've got more than one. And yeah, there we go. So this will be 403 Squadron. And yeah. If I was to do the next two single-engine aircraft I actually want to do Mark II Hurricane and a Tempest, because then I've got the whole evolution of the Hurricane. I will be doing more. Yeah, you can see it's coming a little adrift there, by golly. All right, go on. Who's the question, by golly? For France. Ooh, that's an intriguing one. I would confess I am unsure. I would say, happy to stand corrected, but at a guess, Pierre Closterman. And I will be building him, by the way. I have his kit in a Eduard. So yeah, excuse me while I just hold this in place. I want this to dry properly. Not as it's not the most kindly fitting for a few things. Am I correct? No, he's certainly one of the bigger ones. Alright, I think I can just leave that to dry now. Not bad. Maybe just a little longer there. Pierre Legrand. Ooh. Oh, as well. Sorry, I thought you said you were going to ask another one for World War One. Legrand. It's actually pronounced Legrand. I was wondering if it was Legrand. Oh, Legrand. Not grown. Glone. Oh, Legrand. I'll have to build him, won't I? I'll have to do a bit of Google food, track him down and see what I can find out about the man. There's a few pilots I'm very keen to build, actually. Some of them aren't actually aces. They might be. I don't know. I have to do a bit more research on that one. But because I've built one of the Tuskegee Airmen, and I've also built the only Australian Aboriginal fighter pilot of the Second World War, I know there was a Maori who, actually I should pronounce that correctly, I believe it's Molly, who flew fighter pilots, most notably a guy named John Harker. I wouldn't mind building his aircraft. I know there's a Fijian guy who flew a fighter aircraft and so forth. So I think it'd be kind of cool to, now I think we're getting to the point where I feel comfortable leaving this to dry. Good. As long as the puttying does its job, this will come up okay. Bit grumpy about having to do surgery on it. It's suboptimal, chaps. Oh. Yeah. Need to reglue that. It's going to be kind of tricky. I will manage. He died in 43. So he would have probably flown either a Spit or a Hurricane, you'd think. Well, make sure I get I didn't like the mechanism first. Hoping. If I could just glue it to the. Okay, but not even. Okay. Alright, I'm taking that, you know. I'll take that. On both sides, 18. Both sides, that's interesting. I guess because certainly at one stage you could have fought for the Vichy French. Interesting. Interesting. Now there's an interesting one to look at in terms of, I know there are Italian pilots who flew both under the Italian regime of Mussolini, but also alongside the Allies. Now that would be an interesting, if I can get hold of the insignia of one of those guys, that would be worth doing, I think. Marcel Albert. I saw this Family Guy clip in France. The guy with the jackhammer. Basically, it was a jackhammer. He's gonna try. Oh. This one on the. Can do. Let's have a look at how he goes together. 3 Air Forces. Now that's an interesting one. So if you got the man on Google at the moment, do tell. I'm actually very curious. This is interesting. I can imagine one would have obviously been the French Air Force originally, at the start of the war. Then maybe the Vichy French. Maybe the wow, I could see how that would operate. Interesting. Excuse me. Around, do I want that? It might be worth being aware of one. That. Ah. I don't. Nothing to pieces. Really. Alright. I don't have to do a whole stack of touch-ups on that one. That's okay. That is next. Is that right? Up to 11? Yeah, could be. Well, who knows? Let's see if these checker dudes are in up on their potentials of 11 o'clock. About to find out. Oh, for fuck's sake. Touch-ups. Alright, let that dry. The Soviets? Interesting. I wonder how that came about. Ah, post-World War II. Oh no, he died in 43. Interesting. He's a bit of a free agent. Now, well, I might as well, while I'm here, seriously. It's going to fix. Yes, I need. More blood. 1917, so he'd have been 22. We'll break out. God. Died age of about 26. To die out. More of this up. Plastic. That's better. Not ideal, but it's better. I need to check. Yep. Bit of a change of plan. Look at all the shit I'm getting on that. What is this? What I'm going to do, we'll obviously have to put these in position. This one might just right. What I was hoping to do is get that in position and put the guns in after. Maybe that's not good. I'm actually going to need to push these aside. Make the size clear. Dust out of it. So that will go into well, I believe it's the Richard Bong as far as World War II goes. However, Gabby Gabreski, I believe, because he also served in Korea, had more in total in the final analysis. But I believe World War II, it's a guy named Richard Bong. Dick Bong. I have to say, unfortunate. Stretched. Yeah, there you go. In fact, in that case, Gabreski would not even have surpassed him then. Because I believe he had 28 during World War II and World War VI Korea. Um, so yeah. So yeah, it's a very different. Uh, yeah, that makes Bong the number one by quite a margin, in fact. Certainly as far as World War II goes. Yeah, he's the biggest by a huge margin. The next closest to him is Barkhorn, who had 302. Um, yeah, and they're the only two pilots to have more than 300 aerial victories. Underneath there, you start looking at, I think it's Weissenberger. The top shitload of them are a German. Not for a good reason. Whilst it does say how good they were, it's also a thing of if you're in the Luftwaffe, you flew until you were dead. That was just pretty much how it was because they didn't have the reserves that the Allies had. The Allies could afford to give their pilots R&R. I believe at a certain point, the like fucking um, yeah. Yeah, he was from South Africa, and I believe he's the top scoring ace with both a Gladiator and a Hurricane. As an aside, the squadron he flew in also contained Roald Dahl, who flew during the Second World War as well. As in the guy who wrote the BFG and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, all that sort of stuff. Actually very keen to do his aircraft just for the sheer novelty factor. Another one I want to build. There's a few. There's a guy named Paddy Finnecane from Ireland. He's an Irish ace, and you know he deserves a special bit of respect because I know that a lot of Irish guys copped heat when they got back for serving alongside English. I get it to a point. Long years after, I mean, some of them actually found it hard to get work afterwards. Because they'd assisted the British, who'd been pretty, well, I must be said, pretty brutal to the Irish. But many years later, they were, all the Irish guys who served were acknowledged. Okay, we've got that. That'll happen. Maybe, right? Yeah, anyway, so yeah, I want to build him. There was obviously I want to build Douglas Bader. Well, not obviously, but I want to build Douglas Bader. I have a Hurricane of Robert Stanford Tuck. He was one of, he might have been England's top. There's another guy named Sailor Milan who I'd be happy to build. I have a lot of German aces already set and ready to rock and roll. Yeah, what can I tell you? Probably my next German ace might well be Barkhorn, who got 302. 302? Sounds right. Now, there. All right. Let's get puttying. Do I need some through there? Let me just. Oh, I'm good with that. Who else did I want to build? I also want, actually, I want to build Lydia Lipyak. She's the top scoring Soviet female pilot. But also there's a top scoring Soviet, obviously. Can't remember his name. Interesting, he was actually Ukrainian. Which is particularly ironic, the current political climate. Now, I'm also planning on building Japan's top ace. I mean, hey, that's kind of cool. That's a lot. All the top aces of every country. Not every country, but a lot of the countries that were participating. Would be a good thing to have. But as you can gather, I'm going to have a few more than just that. Probably not going to need too much of this. Maybe a drop or two, I would expect. What do I have there? Actually, I'm going to need more putty. Wakey, wakey, snaky. That's probably good. Some cardboard to smear it, which I conveniently have some old blue tack. Gonna go on very easily. Tip that there. I want to make that. I'd want to make that possibly a bit thicker. Oh no, that bit is. Look at that. Go on nice and easy. Paper towel time. Yeah, who else have I got lined up to build? Shitloads. Give me a look for a moment. Moulders is another one I'm building. Planning to build. That's Werner Moulders. I'm pretty sure you may have heard of him. I've got a shitload of Richthofen I want to build. So many kits. At least it keeps you off the streets at night. Actually, not. Actually, it does. I remember the days. Actually, when I was a bouncer, I was on the streets at night, but at least I was paid to be. So yeah. All right. Let's get some of this on, shall we? Now we want to go probably, I would say, both sides of the Join there. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, also obviously want to build Australia's highest scoring ace, who I believe was Caldwell. Along the way, you've got a whole stack of Polish people that are well worth the build. Frantisek, who else comes to mind? He's the big one. But there's a whole Urbanowitz. He was the squadron leader of 303. So yeah. Um, Johnny Johnson's another one. Actually, no, he's England's top scorer, I believe. And I also want to build an aircraft owned by a guy named Ian Kilty. Because whilst it's EN398, a Mark 9C Spitfire, I think. And it was made famous by Johnny Johnson. Dry action. Was JEJ. It was originally flown by a guy named Ian Kilty. I have with the markings of Kilty. So, to that end, my aim is to have both aircraft. So I'll be able to go, well, this is what it was before it was JEJ, and here it is with Johnny Johnson's markings. You follow me? Yeah. We can see that with a little bit more, once the paint's on as well, once I smooth it out, fine. A little bit here and down here. Then I'm going to need to wash my hands because, well, some said I should probably ring my mum. I don't know if the conundrum that has arisen. Or she'll be, well, or all that's half the problem. We'll see how she deals. She may be, sometimes she surprises me. Not often, but sometimes. Right. Try somewhere dry out on that. Smooth through there. Get the worst of it off the panel lines. Then a little bit there, and that's all our puttying done, I think. I'm going to wash my hands. Going to say, if you want to have a bit of a chortle, I don't know, see how we go. I'm at a point where I'm sort of like thinking I should let a few things just dry. I need to paint him, but I want to let the glue on him, let him dry in position a bit better. First, but if you want, I can take you a bit of a walk through the aces I currently have. Because there are a lot. As far as ready to build, I also have obviously some built. Somebody I'd like to get hold of as well, a guy named Jean Longchamp. Now he's Belgian, but he's famous because he did a uncommissioned attack on the Gestapo headquarters in Brussels. Took it out. There were reprisals, but basically, long and the short of it is this. He, Longchamp was by birth an aristocrat, and he, might as well keep that for party purposes, mine no. His father had been murdered by the Gestapo, a fact of which he took, I might as well keep this conversation going while I go and wash my hands, a fact of which he took exception to, and you can't really blame the man, can you? Anyway, I'm not quite sure as to some of the details as to how the following bits happened. Basically, he jumped into his, pretty sure it was a Typhoon. No, I mean, flew pretty much straight across down their main drive to where he knew the Gestapo headquarters to be. Launched his rockets and destroyed it. Did a lap. Well, not a lap, came around just so he could drop the Belgian flag out the front, and off he went. Apparently he, what was it? He was given some reprimand for it, because, well, you can't do that. It's not kosher. It's going to be endangering others. But it didn't alter the fact that I think he got a DFC for it. He got an award for it. And rightly so. There's actually a statue of him. If you go to Brussels, there's a little memorial of the event at the front of the building where it was all happening. So, yeah. He'd be one worth getting. I'd be very happy to build him. That's a bit of a story with it, you know. Although so does the Dam Busters raid, and I've got that, of course. But God, this stuff is hard to get off, man. Dear. I'm using like a scour on my fingers, and it's not coming off real easy. Jesus, come on now. Warm water with scourer, come on, surely. Surely you're going to give me some cut through here. There we go. I think I'm starting to get somewhere now. Christ. Deary kids. I have to get the worst of that off. Got the worst of it off, but oh my goodness, there's plenty of it on there. Anyway, yeah, that's Longchamp's one I wouldn't mind building. I've got a early model 109 with the markings of a guy who won a medal in the 1936 Olympics. Yeah, these are the things. Let me see. I went through my 109s. I'll probably find about 6, 7 aces. Let's see. Okay. Anyway. So, that's rings puttied up. We'll send that. It doesn't take too long to dry, really, does it? So we can probably get the wet and dry into that pretty promptly. So we don't be unhappy for. Give it a bit longer. Is this guy adequately dry? Yes. That's that blue tack is at its stay. Just, I know where I've actually left my other blue tack. I've got fresh blue tack. I'm guessing this is pretty good add too, is it? You might as well just turf it. It's no longer sticky. It's not really going to be much chop while I'm at it. Dearie me, mate. Now, when I get back, we're going to do touch-ups on this guy. Probably the other guy. Might even get that completed today. We shall see. Yes. Who else do I recall that I think is Ginger Lacey? Is it? Yeah, Ginger Lacey. There's another one to build. He was I'm not quite sure what country. By the sounds of Ginger, you have to say is probably an English chappie. Certainly sounds like a very English sort of a nickname, doesn't it? Ginger. He's got a friend named Algie and Digby. Or maybe Biggles. Who knows? These are the things. Now. Alrighty. I don't need a big blob for this. Just a little one. Do it. Start with leather of his jacket. This is not going to be so bad as I thought. That's leather brown winning. While I'm here, I'm doing that on him. Yeah. He doesn't require much touch up either. If we can get all the touch ups done on these guys now, they don't really overlap too much, so that'll be fine. And then probably wet and dry those. Not those, but the wing and the tail area there down the spine. Then around 12 o'clock I should entertain the notion of calling my mum. it's going to cause the camera to go a bit askew because that's camera. But it won't be too horrid. If they're not here by 12, it's going to be a little bit nervy. If they're here by 1, I can still do my job. After that, it's problematic. Anyway, let's get on the job. You know, it should background. There we go. Better. I'm just tidying up his jacket a bit. Which not going to be unduly noticed one way or the other. But it doesn't hurt to be precise, in my opinion. Especially as we all know the rules. My build, I'll do it how I like. Choose to be pedantic. Then I will be overly pedantic. On analysis. For one time. Perfection. This guy needs a couple of little touches. Here we go. So that's our leather brown done on our pieces. Alrighty. Yeah. Looks like I'm going to give them 20 more minutes. If they aren't here yet, then I shall take the opportunity to call my mother. Business. Let's go. No, you really can't. I have stashed the acrylics that I would use on pilot helmets. So I need to find them. Is it brown sand or yes. Wouldn't be called brown, I know what you know. Okay. Let's have a close look. A little one. It's, oh, what's this one? Definitely not the pale brown. Where is it? I'm off in there. That is my frustration. Now, that looks about right. And goggles. Yeah, that's not good. All right. One helmet done. Uh, Next. Done, aren't we? think the guys with the smoke alarm have arrived. Wow. Soon find out, eh? Hello? Yeah, good. Yeah, no worries. Come on in. Yep. I think the smoke alarm's just there. That is. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the only smoke alarm on the place, so I think you're good. No worries. Alrighty. Well, I'll keep working on that is indeed the gentleman from the smoke alarms. So, look, I should probably actually wind up the stream so that once he's gone, I can go and do the shopping. So, to that end, good people. Give me a moment. Bing. Alrighty. Alright. I'm off, guys. Thank you for watching. Now I will next be back same bat time, but in 2 days' time. So Sunday my time, it would be Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon for those of you in the US. I will be, it's me done. Now, for those of you who are first-time viewers, the magic words are not abracadabra. They are not Shazam. They are follow, like, or subscribe. Bam. Along the way, for those of you who wish to track me down onto other platforms, I am Rob the Builder on Facebook, Twitter, Discord, and YouTube, and Robster the Builder on Instagram and Twitch. And the magic words are again: follow, like, subscribe. Bam. I shall catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Yeah, thank you. Oh, thanks, Binfins, and I shall catch you all on the next stream. Enjoy. Catch you then.